Hey guys, it's Kelly once again. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Eugenia Cooney and how I feel what's happening with her and those that surround her, mainly famous people, okay? And then I'm going to talk about the Exorcist movies, including the new one that was just released. First off, I want to state this video is not to harm or harass anybody under any circumstance for whatever reason. It's not to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm here to get my point across. Some will agree, some will not agree. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion and how they feel. I'm not here to judge anybody, okay? What we're going to talk about first is what's going on with Eugenia Cooney. Now, I've seen several TikTok videos, several YouTube videos discussing how she looks now. And it is absolutely just sad. We are watching her slowly fade away from us here physically on Earth. She has been going through this battle with an eating disorder for the majority of her life, okay? And the fact that we have famous people like Rich Lux, who happens to be a famous YouTuber who does gossip for work, and Jeffree Star applauding her behavior is absolutely disgusting. I had a person leave a comment on a video that I responded to via comment. I didn't do a video on it, okay? I had a person leave a comment that says, "But you're fat." And imagine people not liking you because you're fat and you have gluten. Well, guess what? To the person that left that comment, I don't appreciate that. The fact is, you're one of the people that would sit there and applaud Eugenia for doing this. You would applaud her showing us how she physically looks, knowing that she is not well, knowing that she is suffering both physically, mentally, emotionally from this eating disorder is absolutely disgusting. The fact that we have famous people like Rich Lux and Jeffree Star defending her behavior is absolutely disgusting. And from the looks of it, it doesn't look good. I followed her after she got out of the faculty to help with her eating disorder, but now it's gone downhill. Her whole appearance is just disturbing and shocking and sad. Now, I'm not trying to hate on her because there are many people like her who have suffered with eating disorders, who have found the light, who have taken the time to better themselves and get to a point where they don't have to feel disgusted by their physical appearance, the way their body looks. This is a very serious issue that needs to be talked about more. Dustin Daly had the balls to get on YouTube and say that Jeffree Star's behavior in encouraging Eugenia to have this mindset was disgusting, as well as Rich Lux. I do not agree with either one of them. I understand that Rich does this for a living, and that's fine, but I don't agree with his viewpoint. It seems to me that these two are enabling her behavior, how she looks now, how she talks to people. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with her besides her physical appearance. And many young people who have gone through this, who have watched her since before she became famous, and they too now have eating disorders or have had eating disorders and see her and go, "Oh my God, she needs to be in hospital. She needs to be in a faculty with specialists that are educated in eating disorders and the mental aspect of what goes through a person's head when they're suffering with an eating disorder." I wholeheartedly agree. But she's not going to want the help unless she seriously wants to get help and better herself. She is fading before our eyes, and it kills me to see her like that. It kills me to see her like that. I hope she gets the help she needs, because this behavior of encouraging her to get snobby with fans who are truly concerned about her physical appearance is absolutely disgusting. I mean, she's downplaying it if it's not a big deal. Honey, it is a big deal because you're fading before our eyes. And you're only 25, 26 years old. You're not even 30 years old yet. You have a whole life ahead of you that is beautiful, and you need to better yourself. But she's only going to want it if she really wants the help. That's my viewpoint on that. Now, on to the Exorcist movies. Now, I've seen The Exorcist, the 1973 version, the theatrical version, and the extended version that has the extra 12 minutes. The version in 1973 that we all saw, I didn't see it till after. Years later, after I came home to my family, I saw just how frightening and uncomfortable it made people. The subject matter with demonic possession and, how the demon Pazuzu possesses little Regan, and little Regan's only 12 years old, okay? She's an innocent child. She's tapping into something that she wasn't supposed to. And as a result, she got involved with that and became possessed. Her behavior was intense. The thrashing around on the bed when Pazuzu's trying to enter her body, to her masturbating in front of the doctor, her mom, and her mom's agent or secretary. And then the scene in which after she does all that, she goes to the doctor. They're doing a certain procedure where they are putting dye in her skin, on her skin, and to see the inside of her brain and how her brain functions, and if there's any, injury internally with her head. They don't see anything. And then there's another scene where she's masturbating with a crucifix while being possessed. And then the whole thing of the mom just being emotionally, mentally drained because she's trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with my child. My child's innocent. My child didn't ask to be, had this happen to her. Just to see Ellen Burstyn's betrayal, acting skills as the mom, Chris McNeil was fantastic. Linda Blair, being back then 14 years old, betraying a 12-year-old must have been draining, because you're a child actor and you're trying to get out there to get seen, and this puts you in the threshold of stardom. But then, people automatically think because you played a character that's possessed by the devil, they think you're automatically a bad person because of that role. And that left her typecast, so she didn't want to do any more of the possession film. She didn't want to have that over her head. And then we see two priests, Father Marin and Father Damien Karras. Damien Karras having trouble with his faith and believing in God and having the wherewithal to believe that God exists. He sees little Regan in the state that she's in, and he goes, what is this? Is this a psychotic breakdown? What are we dealing with? And when he finally sees that she is actually possessed, that gets him to believe, okay, then there really is a God. I look at it from that aspect, me being now agnostic, because I was at one point a Christian, but I don't follow that faith anymore, because to me it's all there's stuff to me that doesn't make sense. You have people that go to church and say, oh, I love God and I live through God's word, and me and my family live this lifestyle. Yes, you do, but then there are those that say that and treat their family behind the scenes like shit. Totally disregard them as if they're trash. And, do a whole bunch of other shit that's just not okay, But this makes me think that this type of behavior in which is depicted in the film, this is something that people shouldn't be tapping into unless they know what they're doing and they've been skilled to handle this type of thing. People, there's this whole war of witchcraft versus Christians versus the church versus pastors. It's ridiculous. And the fact that people are so uptight, everything now, after The Exorcist, there's two other ones that I saw. The Heretic, which I didn't really care for. I mean, I know they tried to follow up with the original, and the original was great. The ones that followed after it didn't do so well. I mean, I watched part 2, and then I watched number 3, and then I saw the prequel to The Exorcist. That really didn't do anything for me. I mean, I know they were trying to up the stakes, as in jump scares and to shock people, but for the time that when The Exorcist was made, that's when everything back then wasn't watered down. We didn't have sensitive people getting butthurt over everything. Now in today's generation, we have people getting butthurt over stupid things. And people trying to impin their beliefs onto others. I don't like that, I think it's gross. People should be able to believe and follow whatever spirituality, whatever path they want to follow, they can follow that and not be judged for it. Not everybody's going to be Christian. Not everybody's going to be pagan. Not everybody's going to be Catholic. I mean, it seems like there's a battle ongoing between religion and certain aspects of practice when it comes to spirituality. And I think it's just sad. People are being pushed into a corner. Those that are not Christian being pushed into a corner saying, oh, you practice this. This must be the work of the devil. Well, you don't know what it is. They only know what it is because it's something they choose to follow. I myself am no longer a Christian because I think it's all bullshit. And I think it's to scare people, I don't believe that. But I can see why the first Exorcist movie really pushed buttons and really made people feel uncomfortable. It gets to you mentally as well as visually, because you're seeing a little girl who's only 12 years old being possessed by the devil and seeing, her do all these weird things, the spinning of the head, the puking of the pea soup, the masturbation scenes, her crawling down the stairs like a spider, her going to the hospital and having all these tests done, and it just makes you uncomfortable. You're like, ew, I don't want to watch that, but at the same time, you don't want to turn away because you're glued to your TV screen or you're glued to your seat because you want to know what happens next. And for the new one that's come out, I really want to see it, but I'm afraid I'm going to get my heart torn out because Ellen Burstyn has now made her return 50 years after the first and original movie that she starred in with Max von Sydow and Jason Miller and Linda Blair. They're trying to do what The Exorcist did in the 70s. Back then, people weren't butthurt by everything. Everything was new. The content for the movie was a little uncomfortable, which I understand. I get it. But it makes you think, what goes on in a person's head when they're tapping into something they're not supposed to tap into? I mean, for this new one that's come out, it's trying to follow the original film. But it's not as shocking as the first film was. The first film, being made in the 1970s, it pushed boundaries. It made people think. It made people scared. It made them think about, their life path. If you're a Christian, if you're atheist, if you're agnostic. That's what it did. And that's what it's supposed to do. But now we're in an era where everybody's getting butthurt by everything. Clothes, the way people present themselves in public and in private. I mean, it's. I'm just afraid I'm gonna get my heart ripped out because Ellen Burstyn did a beautiful job as Chris McNeil in the first one. In the first one, you really see her go through the emotions mentally, emotionally, physically, as to why her child is acting out. She now understands, yes, my child was tapping into something she shouldn't have tapped into, but I need to get my daughter free. And then we don't ever see Reagan after the second installment. We don't know what caused Reagan to leave her mother. I mean, when you go back and you look at the new one that was released, you hear Chris say, I'm hoping one day I get to see my little girl. I get to see my daughter's beautiful face, sweet face. I don't know where she is. I don't know what happened to her. But I'd like to see what's going to happen in this other installment that's going to come out in 2025. They did the Exorcist Believer. We have 2 new kids coming into the franchise now. 2 new teenage girls who are both possessed by a demon. And it all happened because they chose to have a little seance and tap into something they weren't supposed to tap into. You know, you start tapping into something that you don't know what could do to you. You need to look it up and research what you're doing. These little girls didn't do that, except one of them dies. The other one lives and is able to tell her side of the story, but she ends up missing her best friend. We live in a world now where everything is censored, everything is watered down because people don't want to get butthurt, but people don't also want to think about, okay, this is what happens when you tap into something you're not supposed to. I am not religious in the sense of being Christian, but I understand why people would be uptight. We're trying to updo the original. You can't do that. For the time that it was released, it was brand new. There was things that hadn't been done before. There was subject matter that hadn't been covered before in a film. The original will be my all-time favorite. I love the original. I watch it on and off every now and again because it's my most favorite horror film. Even though Friedkin and Blatty don't want to refer to it as that, nor does Linda Blair. Linda Blair's like, it's not a horror movie. It's a psychological. It makes you think about what happens between God and the devil and people that want to tap into something like that. Tap into the darker side of religion and spirituality and figure out, okay, why does this happen? What happens if I do this? That's what it's meant to do. And I don't think this new installment is going to be like the original. The original was new and everything that hadn't been done before was done in that film, to which now it's one of the scariest movies of all time. And nothing has touched it since. I don't think this new one that they have out now is going to top the original because everything was top notch. There was no CGI. Everything was, prosthetics and wires and all of that. Now we have CGI. We have makeup like they did for the first one, but it's more, the makeup's new. It's not like the one in 1973. I think they chose this young actress, the little girl Catherine, to resemble a young Reagan, to mimic Reagan when Reagan was little. But like I said, it's not going to top the original. There's no way in hell. I watched the original, the theatrical version and the extended version. I right now have the extended version. I like that one better than the original that was released because there's 12 extra minutes to see what is happening. There's a conversation that the 2 priests had amongst each other while taking a break from the exorcism. Kara asked Marin, why this little girl? Why did he choose her? And Marin said, because God wants to think of us as ugly. That he could not love us, or not God. Satan wants us to think that God could not love us. because we're, Satan shows the ugly side of us as human beings. Again, this is not, The Exorcist will never be topped ever again. That was 50 years ago. That was before my birth. I didn't see that movie in its entirety until 2005, and I was glued. And now I have it in my collection, and it's the only one I have. I'm not getting any more. I don't have the sequels, The Heretic or The Exorcist 3 Legion. I don't have the prequel, and I don't know if I'm going to add this one because, again, they're trying to follow up to the 1973 version. That can never be topped. I mean, I love Ellen Bornstein. I know she came back to reprise her role as Chris, and I don't blame her for that, and I'm glad she came back. But to have her character die off the way Chris did breaks my heart. I wanted to see her face the demon, and say, I'm still here. I'm not gone yet. But I want to see what happens in the second installment for this franchise. This is not, they're probably going to try to top this one. We've got bad ratings for the new updated version, and it's nothing like the 1973 version. I understand they wanted to make something different, but that one will never be topped whatsoever. William Friedkin was at the height of his powers back in the 70s. That's what pushed him into superstardom as a director. That was his number one movie. He based it off of Blatty's novel. Blatty called on Friedkin and said, I want you to direct this film. I want you to make it in your own special way and show everyone what you're capable of doing. That's why it's the best film of all time. The most scariest film of all time. The ones, you got different horror movies. You have your Saw franchise, which I absolutely love. There's certain sequels to that one I don't like. You have several others, but The Exorcist is my most favorite film of all time. It will never be topped ever again. Will it rest in peace, William Peter Blatty and William Friedkin. We lost William Friedkin at age 87. All right, good day.